So why did you decide to sell off the business subsequently?
Well, actually, it was more of a personal situation. Typically, I told you I created this business with my partner. We separated after 8 years of working together. And so I stayed in the company another 2 years. It was becoming a bit tense, to be honest. And this is when this venture builder, this French venture builder in biotech, was looking for somebody to set up the business and basically complement the team of scientists, inventors, complement them with operational skills, bootstrapping businesses, basically do the product development. So from the patent and the MVP turned that into a actual sellable product.
Sure.
And raise funds. I was not experienced in the last bit, so this is something I learned then at that moment.
Great. So
and it was a good opportunity to get away from a personal situation that was becoming a bit heavy.
So what is the biggest lesson that you learned in the sale of a business?
I realized when I put my portion, because when I moved out from LMB to become the general manager of Pixel Lab, the CEO actually, not only general manager, but it's basically the easiest thing was probably to sell my share, right? Because it was becoming, because of the personal situation in this company, it was probably definitely better to sell my share because there was no way to remain in good terms with my partner. So this is when I realized from business brokers, investors, that 50% of a company is not a good thing. They told me very clearly, people like to buy either a minority to have like corporate investment. I was saying earlier, corporate investors, they like to put 10% to have an eye into it, to check what are the patterns, to have a seat at the board, to check it out. Other investors are interested in taking 15-20%, so basically to cash in. It's usually kind of form of investment that brings in dividends, but they don't want, they want to be a bit light on this, or they want a majority. And some people were very brutal, saying, well, Anne, why would I overpay this 20 to or 17% extra? So if I want a minority control, I would buy 33% of the company. Are you happy to sell me 33%? So typically 2/3 of what you owe. And then you keep the balance. So 50% is not a good thing. Get 51 or 33 or less.
So 51 or 33 or less. Okay. So how long did it take for you to achieve a meaningful breakthrough for LMB?
Well, actually, the business was successful. It was profitable from day one and cash flow positive basically from the second, third months of operation. Why? Because typically in terms of cash flow, no secret into that, our asset was the tenancy agreement, so the lease. Let's say I'm leasing at 1,000. I have to cash out $3,000, 2 months deposit plus 1 month rental, right? My selling price to the client is 1,005. And I'm asking him exactly the same thing, 3 months deposit. So basically, it covers for my own deposit and it brings me 1,005 extra, right? Which helps me to run the operation, to hire the people, to pay the bills and so on. And the bigger you are, the bigger that amount is, right? So the business was profitable, it was cash flow positive all the way. Now the question is, what do you do with that money? And I guess this is your question, is at what point were you able to pay yourself and to cash in dividends, which is probably a different question. I would say we started to have decent salaries after the year 3.
Year 3.
Yeah, so the first 2 years it was a very minimal salary. It was like $3,000 was for 2 persons. So lucky we had our savings, because needless to say that with 3 children in international school, that's the thing. Because we don't even HDB are not open to foreigners, and local schools are not open to foreigners. So the hard truth is, this is the hard truth, right? So you cannot survive $3,000 is virtually impossible if you're a foreigner with children. So this is living on the savings during that period, and all the benefits were reinjected to basically grow the business. Getting more volume and catch up to all these things, develop the website, develop the systems. There were money injected also to open subsidiaries in France, and after that in Australia. They were not successful. That is another learning, is when you kickstart a business elsewhere, you have to do it yourself, and you put somebody in afterwards, not the other way around. One, and able to generate sufficient dividend to cash in the dividends, I would say probably after year 4 or 5, 4, I would say.
God, after year 4 or 5?
Yes, 4, I would say, yes.
Wow. If you're enjoying this particular episode, please press the like button. So back to this itself. Wow. So the first 2 years, you are yourself and your partner is living on minimal salary. Then it's only year 4 or 5 whereby you are able to
year
get some
3
dividend.
we increase our salary, but we still don't get dividends, if I remember well. It's only year 4 that we had our salary and we cashed in dividends.
Wow. Okay. So do you have any regrets in your entrepreneurial journey?
Regrets?
Yeah.
Well, I was mentioning earlier on we did not let investors in.
Yeah,
I think that if this was something to redo, definitely I would redo that. I would not take 50% stake. I would take probably either insist on having, but the problem is that when you start a business at 2, that's always a problem, right? Nobody wants to be the minority shareholder. Probably pursue on the vision that we had in the first place, because today you see there are lots of co-living things. And what do? These co-living things? They basically take up units, all units that they redo completely, buildings, and basically dedicate this. It's true that since then, Singapore has completely revamped its environment during COVID or after COVID, or maybe at that time. But when we started, Singapore was not in this mindset at all. You had to ask for repurposing and so on, which we never dared doing, to be honest. We should have probably been bolder, but to be bolder, you needed fun.
Yes.
And this is where, if there was one thing to change, is get investor in, get money in, to be able to execute on the vision. Otherwise, you're tied by, unless if your company is generating tremendous amount of cash from day one. But honestly, there are not that many businesses who generate so much amount of cash from day one.
So back to your question itself, on the part about investors, what would be the kind of investors to look out for? Any tips on that?
It really depends, actually. So in this very business, probably looking at VCs. That business that we were in, because typically, if you look at companies like our buyer, Hamlet, was invested by VCs or private equity, they will not look into such a small business. But VCs typically. And if you look like how Airbnb, WeWork, all these companies that started around this kind of business, which is basically using sharing this kind of assets, they used VCs in the first place. In Pixel Lab, the biotech company, the second biotech company, this one was more of interest, absolutely not of interest to any VCs, because they didn't see it interesting at all. Those who were interested in it were the corporates, and especially those in the pharma industry, the research life science industry, because it was a good way for them, exactly as I said, to basically have a look at, the new technologies, new know-how, new things,
Sure.
and even start adding additional products to their portfolio.
Sure. So back to yourself, right? When you make the transition as an employee to entrepreneurship, in your opinion itself, what is the number one consideration anyone who wants to do so should have?
And prepare two things. First, be prepared to have no salary for a while.
So what would be a typical time period in your opinion?
It really depends on the business plan and your ability to. So no salary can be many years, honestly. Can be many years. My personal opinion is nobody can live of thin air for too long, right?
Yes.
So there must be some money coming in at some point. Is
Definitely.
it through? Is it through the sale of your product, or is it because you sold stake into your business? That is a different story. But for sure, don't expect to gain any income for at least a year, and potentially two. Beyond that, if your business is not able to generate you some income one way or another, that's a problem. Or you're super rich.
Yeah.
If you're super rich, well, it's a different story. But then,
yeah, that will be the case of a product market fit, right?
product market fit, absolutely. That's why whenever you're in deep tech, anything that requires long investments, research, and so on, you need external fundings, or you're super rich, which is a different story again.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, if you still can't find your product market fit and you do not generate income, frankly, reconsider.
Yeah. I think you have a good point, because sometimes.
But it's not something that you know when you start.
Yeah.
When you start, you think that you're going to make money after 1 or 2 years,
Yeah.
usually, right? But be prepared to have no money for 1 or 2 years. That's normal. That's the
Yeah.
norm. One. Second, be prepared to do absolutely everything into your company. You see, when I was working in Microsoft, when anything was not working on my computer, any time of the day or the night. Hello, Mr. IT, my computer is not working. Do this, do that. Fixed. Hello, Miss Assistant, I need a flight to go there, and I'm going to spend the day there. Please take me some appointment with this. The key is this one, you handle. And then the next day I had everything ready on my table and so on. You run your business. Who empty the bins?
Yeah.
The dustbin.
Yeah.
I had my first employees, they were complaining because I had not provided them with water and paper tissue. So every week I was going and buy, because
Yeah.
back then there was no online thing.
Yeah.
Remember, everything was carry. So I was buying the water and the paper tissue for my staff,
Yeah.
because otherwise they would not come in my company and stay.
Yeah.
And they were asking, "Oh, can we have some snacks and coffee and stuff?" So
Yeah.
who does the housekeeping in your office?
Yeah. So it's really about
It's you.
rolling up your sleeves.
Only. Imagine the car. You have an important client coming in, and client or representative coming in, and the only cars that are available, the blue cars available, but they are super dirty, disgusting, and so on, because the client ruined it. What do?
Clean it
So
up.
if you have no time, the clients, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
You have to do it yourself. There's no question asked.
Yes.
You're the boss, you're CEO, but you're the housekeeper too. Don't forget that.
Yes.
Have to be prepared to this, because this is the hard life when you
This-
start.
I think so. so back to yourself. I mean, based on what you have just shared, you shared many points, right? What would be the number one most important quality to be a successful entrepreneur?
Be realistic,
In what sense?
in the sense that look at the facts, look at the numbers. Look at the fact, look at the numbers, and the actions. Don't take words for granted. Look at the orders that are coming in, the cash that is coming in. People say, oh, yes, sure, I'll be interested.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So be realistic in a sense, be pragmatic, super pragmatic, down to earth, back to the facts.
Yes. So it doesn't matter what customers say. The important thing is the cash comes into your account.
What the client says is very important, because ultimately they are the one paying you and everyone at the end of the day. So a client is somebody who signed, who bought your product.
Yes.
Okay, and who is paying for it. A prospect or an investor or somebody who you will ask advice from is an advisor.
Yes.
Is somebody who may become a client.
Yeah.
And best case scenario is a prospect at that stage. He's not yet a client. So what client says is Bible, as I say, or gospel. What interviewees survey says is interesting until they're ready to pay to see.
Got it. So that will be the order of prioritization. Got it. Do you have is there anyone over the last few decades that inspire you? And if so, are you able to share more about this person?
Well, those I was earlier on mentioning about Property Guru, because I know the founder since they started, and more specifically Steve Melrich since he started Property Guru, and I had a talk with him a couple of months back. Since he invested, he's still in Property Guru's board, and he invested in Wavemaker Impact, and which is a investment fund in companies that are reducing the carbon footprint. I think he's very inspiring in a sense that he went through this hardship, right? All these things, worked like crazy, raised funds once, twice, and reached a place where typically he could stop, right? Nevertheless, he decided to continue investing for other kind of companies, and he remains very humble, very pragmatic, very driven, very down to earth, which I find extremely inspiring.
Great. So do you have a favorite book?
Well, actually, there is a book I like, but I love actually. I always recommend it to anyone, but it's in French, so it might not ring many bells. The name is Rouge Brésil, which could be translated into Red Brazil.
Red Brazil.
Yes, which is actually, it got the Goncourt Prize in France, which is a literature prize. So, but it would not, the book I really love are usually in French.
Okay.
That's my native language.
Yeah.
And they usually tell stories of people who had extraordinary lives, who had plenty of different lives into one life. They managed to live many different things. I find it absolutely incredible. There are people like that who have 1,000 lives in one, who did travel the world, have done so many different jobs, so many different things. That fascinates me, and these are usually the kind of story I love reading.
I do remember there was one writer. I can't remember the name. At one point in time, he was like a pilot during World War II.
Yes.
Then subsequently, he was an adventurer of some sort.
Saint-Exupéry, I guess. He was a pilot. He was an adventurer. He became an ambassador. He was a very famous writer. Won the Goncourt Prize twice as a life under two names.
Yeah.
It's different names. Another one who is also very famous in France, and I love his books. He's the author of Rouge Brésil, by the way. Ruffin. This guy is a doctor. He's been working in their emergency service in a hospital in Paris for many years. He's one of the founding team of the French doctors, or Doctors Without Frontier, that you see everywhere.
I think I saw it somewhere.
Yes, and so he's going on theater like this in many places. Additionally, at one point of time, so he did that, but he decided to give up his position in hospital for many different reasons, and worked as an ambassador for France in Africa, and after that in South America.
Wow.
This is where he fell in love with Brazil, and he started to write this book, which became actually this incredible success, since he's been writing many other books. And in addition to that, so he's a doctor, he's got a PhD in political science, one of the founders of the French doctors, author, and ambassador. And I wonder if he has not been a minister at one point of time. Maybe.
Wow.
I don't know. Absolutely not. He's still alive. He's 70-something years old.
Wow. Red Brazil, the author.
Red Brazil. Yeah, exactly. Ruffin. Ruffin.
Okay, I will check on that.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to backpack Brazil as well.
Yeah. He's fantastic. And he married the same wife 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. At least twice, maybe three. And his explanation is very logic at the end of the day. He says, you see, I'm not the same today as I was 20 years ago, as I was 20 years ago. And typically the woman I met, she's Somalian, and she was herself an ambassador or an author or something. The woman I met when I was 25 or 30 years old in Somalia she was not the same 10 years down the line, neither was I. And the thing is, so we separated, but then we met again, and both of us were different, but able to continue the journey again.
Wow.
And like that, you see, it's interesting to see, to acknowledge that we change over time. Life changes us, and we change over time. So we're able to do things along the way. Like today, I'm a consultant. I never knew I would be doing that.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur. When I left Microsoft, it was nowhere close in my mind.
Yeah.
And I became an entrepreneur by accident, I would say. But I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Going back in the corporate world is always a bit painful, to be honest. It has its reward, it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
But, so at each point of the time of your life, you can do something different. And entrepreneur is definitely one of the things that you can do, and that you should try, definitely.
So I think that's a word to describe it, but I'm not sure if it's close to describing it aptly. Metamorphosis, in a way. Should I say an evolution of the individual beings? Yeah, but I think that's a beautiful way of looking at it, and even about the part about him marrying his wife 2 to 3 times. That's a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
So for yourself, I mean, back to the commercial side of things, right? Based on your observation about Singapore market, in your opinion, what's stopping most SME from hitting the 10 million revenue mark?
I would say the vision.
The vision.
The vision.
Not the market size?
No, because it's true that Singapore is a small market, but it's true that it is a challenge, but you can build a business that is meant to grow elsewhere. If you think of Grab, for example, of course, if they had been in Singapore itself, that would have been very limited, you see, but they had the vision of going elsewhere. I was thinking of Property Go. Okay, I was mentioning they decided to go elsewhere.
Sure.
My friend Shamba, who created villabali.com, then it became Villa Finder, and so on. So it started with Bali from Singapore. We all started all together from Singapore, and then they expanded in all other countries. So Singapore, I would say, the challenge is not the market size. I mean, of course, if you think I want to do this in Singapore only, you still can do a business which is more than 10 millions. Many restaurants are doing more than 10 millions. Many nightclubs, spa businesses, aesthetic clinics, outlets, or network. There are plenty of business that are purely Singaporeans doing more than $10 million. So no, the market size is not the point. The point is really the vision.
Got it.
Where do I want to go? And so often, you talk to entrepreneurs, people who have their company, you say, hey, why don't you do this? Oh la, it's too complicated, I don't know, no problem, I cannot la. It's really I know my stuff, I know my thing, and let's stick to this because this is what I know, what I like, where I feel comfortable. So it's the lack of vision and or the lack of wish to go outside the comfort zone, to stretch.
So the limiting constraint or the glass ceiling is the mindset.
It's the mindset.
Yeah, totally. I mean, do you think they are the product of the environment that they are so comfortable in?
No, we are all the product of our environment. I mean, who likes change? Who likes gambling too much and so on?
Yeah.
I mean, I was the first culprit. I was quite comfortable. At one point of time, I was tired of shaking the tree all the time. And because my partner was saying, no, I don't want to raise fund, no, I don't want to. Okay, fine. So I started to do something else actually, creating a new product. And this is when I was called by this other company. So I was ready to do something more with that business, basically turning operation as a service, basically making operation as a service. So this is what I started doing. So it could have grown bigger, but it would have been Singapore still, most probably. We tried to go elsewhere, France and Australia. So no, we had the vision, but at one point of time, I was probably a bit tired as well.
Yeah.
Because once again, it's also a matter of, if you don't get the fund to, basically it has to be self-sustained, and it's tiring. Yeah. That's why it's important to have additional input at one point of time.
Yes.
But to have this input, you need the vision.
So you mentioned that you are currently selling a service, consulting service to NCS, right? Can you elaborate more about that?
Oh yeah, actually I've been so actually NCS was I was a former employee of NCS. I've been working for NCS for a couple of years back, and for them I was in charge of basically the new product incubation and the kind of service that I'm offering NCS is to support them on the sales side in elaborating their new product and their innovation or highly innovative solutions. So typically looking at the transport industry, which is the segment on which they ask my service. I'm proposing solutions around computer vision, around robotics, around Gen AI.
Sure.
Because I know those solutions for the reason that I've been in this environment for quite a while. So basically helping them in building offers for the clients around those technologies, and also help them demonstrate or showcase to their clients that this can bring their own business, the client's business, at a different level if when used or implemented. I don't know if I'm clear. So basically articulating high-tech solutions, let's say, for their large enterprise account.
So you are like the product manager of sort?
Yeah, kind of.
Solution architect.
It's more like a solution. Yeah, I would say kind of solution architect.
Solution architect.
Solution, yeah.
Product manager of sort, right?
I'm not managing the product. The solution architect will be more of the aspect, while also engaging with the strategic level of their client to understand what are the pain points of the client at a strategic level, not a technical level, to basically help them identify where tech could help them in solving some of their challenges.
Got it.
And then articulate the solution for them.
So for your consulting service wise, Is there any particular sector that you think that you'd be great at, that they should definitely come to you?
But typically, where I'm good in basically two main domains, which will be in the tech industry, because
Sure.
I've been evolving in this for a while, so I've been seeing quite a number of things in that field. The other part is basically I'm also a mentor to many new businesses. I'm going to start one new program with a US enterprise in January.
Nice.
Where basically it's really a matter of helping people or companies, so either people when they are founders or companies when they wish to develop a new segment, a new service, a new business, in going through all the processes, which is almost like a startup, right? All the processes to kickstart that new product, service, until it finds its product market fit.
Got it. So it's more like market development services.
Yes.
Got it. So, okay, great. So let's say if any one of you is keen to learn more about Anne's services, please contact her. You can find her contact details on the description box itself. So the last question, right? So what is your observation about the current economy in Singapore?
Well, it's been my view, my personal view is that it has been a bit slow, frankly, this year.
Sure.
Many areas I often hear, well, it's a bit tensed. It's a bit slow, honestly speaking. Now I also know that Singapore had some good numbers. I think those, it's not I think, it's actually reflected in the numbers. It is pulled by some segment of the economy, especially the semiconductor, which really pulls this very well. Other segments, which are more consumer-driven, have been suffering significantly.
In a big way.
In a big way, yeah. It's consumer-based businesses have been suffering quite a fair bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, on my side, I noticed that a lot of consumer businesses, their revenue has been stagnating. I think there's multiple reasons, right? Consumers have been traveling about, traveling on spending on overseas. Another part of it is that I think that the overall market, employment market, there's been some turbulence going on. I think that consumer has been rather cautious in terms of the spending, and the cost of living itself has generally caused them to tighten the belt.
Exactly.
So I think there's a cause and effect. So for you, if you have been enjoying this video, please put a like, and let's say if there's any comments that you have, any questions that you have, please put it on the comment box itself. And this would sum up the end of today's episode, and I really hope you enjoy it. And please remember to follow us and to put a like. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mac. Thank
you. Thanks, Anne.